One day, I came home and found that my husband had disappeared and left without a trace. A few days later, I found out that him and my sister had eloped. That was 12 years ago. He recently contacted me on the phone, stating, "I'm coming to my home with my wife, and you are in my way. Get out of my parents' house." He was annoyed that I was living at his parents' house. It's been 12 years since they eloped, and I guess he intends to take my sister as his wife now that things have cooled down. But they don't know. They don't know how drastically the family, including myself, have changed since then. My name is Melanie Miller, and I am 27 years old. I studied and majored in web design and started to work in a web production company. That's where I met my husband, Shane. Shane works in the sales department for the company and is friendly by nature. His charm swept me in, and we got married shortly after a year of dating. Once I was a part of the family, we decided to live together in his parents' home. By then, I quit my job at the web production company and started work as a freelance web designer. I decided to work from home so that I could keep up with my household and support my husband's lifestyle. At first, I had some trouble finding work, so my income wasn't stable. Now, however, I have no trouble finding work and maintaining a stable income. I could work at my own pace and put my family first. I could spend quality time with my husband and his family during the mornings, evenings, and even before bedtime. I was so satisfied with life. However, I noticed that my husband started to change his friendly attitude, little by little. It all started when I started to make twice the amount of money compared to what I was making 2 months prior at my old job. I was ecstatic to have reached and surpassed my salary that entire day. I couldn't wait to tell my husband when he came home from work. He's going to be so happy for me, I thought to myself. As soon as I knew he was home, I ran up to the front door with a huge grin on my face. "Shane, guess what? My income last month was twice the amount that I would have made at my last job." "What? Are you serious? Your last job had great benefits and pay, right?" "Yeah, but I've been wanting more. I finally did it." Yep. "That's it? What? You want me to throw you a party?" My husband was being unusually sarcastic and negative. I didn't know where the attitude was coming from, so I asked, "Shane, are you mad at me for something? Did I do something wrong? I genuinely thought that you'd be happy for me." "Why would I be happy? It's not like my salary went up." "Well, yeah, but can't you just be happy for your wife?" "Really? I'm not like you. I'm just not a naturally happy person." "Shane?" After that fight, my husband became more distant and indifferent day by day. Our daily conversations decreased until eventually it was only me that greeted him good morning and good night first. Even though we were only a year into marriage, we were far from happily married. My in-laws, whom we lived with, started to notice the tension and they began to worry, but they never said anything. 2 months went by and the relationship was still the same. We ate our meals together, but sat in silence. He'd switch the channel when I was in the middle of watching something and would eat all of the food in the house that I'd buy without asking for permission. Whenever I tried to confront him, he'd argue with me, so I just kept it to myself. Then finally, one day, I was cleaning the house, and my mother-in-law came up to me looking anxious. "Melanie, how are you? Are you okay?" "What do you mean, am I okay?" "Well, when you and Shane first got married, you both used to go out and enjoy spending time together. But lately, it seems like you don't do much of that anymore. And you don't even talk, and..." "Yeah, but we've only been married for a year," I replied. But it was strange. I forced a smile back at her so that she knew not to worry, but she saw right through my smile. She looked at me with a straight face. "If you don't want to talk about it, I won't make you. But I worry about you, and lately I feel like you've been down." "Well, I'm not faking anything." "Well, your father notices it too. Him and I are just worried that you might be overwhelming yourself." "Oh, Mother." Honestly, it probably was my fault that my husband was uncomfortable with me earning more. But on the other hand, I also felt alone in my accomplishment. And in the moment, I was so happy that she finally acknowledged and noticed the pain I was in. It brought tears to my eyes. So I decided to tell her everything. After listening to what I had to say, she started to rub my back and responded, "I am so sorry on behalf of him. He is not man enough to sincerely be happy for you and your success." No, it's my fault. It was selfish of me to think that he would have genuinely been happy for me. But that's something you shouldn't have to worry about in a marriage, Melanie. And if you keep your feelings in about this, it will only make it worse. I don't think it could get any worse. Okay, so the two of you need to seriously talk about this. Can you do that? Yes, I can. Thank you for listening to me, Mom. She smiled back at me. Of course. And then she patted my head. My in-laws love me as if I were their own daughter. They saved me. With her advice in mind, I decided to have a proper conversation with my husband. That night, I stayed up waiting for my husband to come home. However, there was no sign of his return no matter how many hours went by. Normally, he'd be home by 10 at the latest, but it was already past 11 that night. "What's taking you so long?" I texted him, but he didn't reply. Maybe something's wrong. I attempted to call him, but the phone would only ring and he didn't pick up, so I kept anxiously waiting. About midnight, he finally came home. "Welcome home," I said, but he sighed loudly and looked at me annoyed. "What are you doing? Why are you up this late?" "Well, I wanted to have a serious conversation with you today." "About what?" he answered annoyingly. "This all started between us because of my new salary, right? I mean, I probably should have kept that to myself. I'm sure it hurt your ego." As soon as I said that, a chill ran through me. There he was, in front of me, with a cold look on his face. I was frozen in fear. He replied hatefully, "There's nothing to talk about, and it's pathetic that you're waiting up for me to come home." "I'm trying to have a better relationship with you, Shane." "That's the problem, clearly. I made a mistake in finding the right partner." "No. I'm tired from working overtime. You don't get to talk because all you do is sit around at home all day." My husband stormed past me and went upstairs to the room. I couldn't get myself to move until I was sure he was fully upstairs. Why was he even talking to me like that? I just want to live a normal, married life. My mother-in-law had given me the push that I needed, but nothing had been resolved. Regardless, I don't want to push another conversation with him after that attitude. I felt like he completely invalidated me as a person, so my heart grew bitter. 2 more months went by, and we didn't talk. The days were long, and they passed by in a daze. That was when I came home one day and found that my husband was gone. I looked in his room and had a weird feeling. I thought, what? Shane's room is never clean. Shane is not a clean and tidy person, to say the least, but his room was surprisingly clean. The clothes in his closet and his suitcase were gone. I finally realized that he moved out of the house. I rushed to call my in-laws, but their phone was either turned off or disconnected. My sister Mimi then called me while I was still panicking. "Hi, sis. Long time no see." "Mimi, I can't talk right now." "Your husband isn't there, is he?" "What? How did you know that?" How did she know that? Something's not right here, and she proceeded to tell me the truth. "I'm with your husband right now." "What? What do you mean?" "Well, I was just at the bar, and I saw him there, coincidentally. We had a drink, and then he said you guys weren't really getting along." "Mimi, no! You can't be." "I am dating him, and we're going away to get married, so don't try and stop me." "Going away? Don't be silly. Bring Shane back home now." I'm sorry, I can't. I've actually had these feelings for a while now. Plus, he's tall and handsome. I'll take him. Then, the phone went silent. I tried to call her back so many times, but she never answered. Instead, she sent me pictures. There were dozens of photos of them together, going on dates, smiling. Either way, it was not something I enjoyed looking at. A few days later, I received his signed and completed divorce papers. I called his job, but they told me he'd already resigned. I knew that I didn't deserve to go through this alone. I told my parents and in-laws about the situation and asked for their support. So, apparently, Shane and Mimi are together now. He quit the company on his own, and now he's making me sign the divorce papers. Everyone was speechless. Then, my father-in-law started to speak after processing. Melanie, I am truly sorry for our stupid son. I don't expect you to forgive me. Matter of fact, you don't have to. Oh, Father. And unfortunately, I cannot forgive your sister either. You are like a daughter to me. I cannot forgive them for hurting my precious daughter. Everyone agreed with him in this. It was at that moment, when all of us completely changed how we felt and thought about Shane and Mimi. My in-laws were considering moving into a new house at the time. After the situation, they claimed, I don't want anything to do with my son ever again, and they moved houses without telling him. My parents have also decided to cut ties with my sister. If she were to ever come back, they said they'd pretend as if they don't know her. Someone whose moral compass is so far gone that they'd take their sister's husband is no daughter of ours. That was their reasoning. So then, I decided to take this opportunity to go back home to my parents. I demanded alimony for them in exchange for going through with the divorce. Which he responded, "You get the alimony when I get my divorce." But I eventually received several million yen in alimony with a message that followed, "Divorce me." As soon as the divorce was finalized, I cut all ties with Shane and Mimi. It's been 12 years since the divorce, and a lot has happened since then. My in-laws tore down the house we all lived in, and even sold the land. I have become more well-known as a web designer, and my salary is much higher than it used to be. Because of this, I'm able to travel regularly with my parents and live a fulfilling life. Today, while I was working, I received a call. I picked up without looking at the caller ID, assuming it was a client. But it instantly brought back bad feelings. It's been a long time, Melanie. How have you been? Shane? I knew you'd remember your ex-husband's voice. He's talking nonsense, just like before. What do you want? 12 years and now you want to talk? I could hear him chuckle. No, you're in my house. Get out within the next 10 minutes. What? What are you talking about? We're in some financial trouble. Anyway, I'm on my way there now. I'm bringing my wife home to my house. You can get out of my parents' house now. Apparently, he still thinks I'm living with his parents. He really thinks that after 12 years, things have cooled down and they'll finally be accepted. In the background, I hear, "That's right, get out of there," coming from my sister. But they really don't know. Do they really think that just because it's been 12 years, all is forgiven? The world is not that kind, and I will show them hell if I have to. But I took a deep breath and said, "If you want to go home, go home. I'm not at your parents' house anymore." "Oh, really? Did my dad kick you out?" "How dumb can you be? Your parents' house doesn't even exist anymore." "Huh? What do you mean it doesn't exist anymore?" Shane's voice started trembling with anxiety. At that exact moment, he pulled up to where the house used to be. He screamed, "What the hell?" And I could hear the anguish in his voice. I then continued, "As soon as you eloped, we decided to cut ties with you both. Your parents have moved out, and my parents completely disowned the woman you're with. There's nowhere for you to come back to." Are you kidding me? How is this even possible? Believe it or don't. Be my guest. Your parents, my parents, and I don't consider you family. You aren't worthy enough since you both ruin people's lives. That's terrible. But Family! And who ruined your family? Don't ever call me again. I won't let you people ruin my life any more than you already have. As soon as I said that, I hung up and blocked the number. This time, I severed the last connection. After their failed trip to his parents' home, they decided to try my parents. But my parents already disowned her. My sister is sobbing loudly, to which my parents responded, "Who are you?" and completely ignored them at the gate. Then, they both got down on their knees and started to plead. "Please, parents, please forgive us. We have nowhere to go, please." Shane was following along with Mimi. "I'm begging you as well. My parents' house is gone. We have nowhere to go. Shut up. We don't care. You're not family anymore." That's right. He even sprinkled salt on the front door. "No, please, wait. No, please, I'm begging you. My father-in-law." "You don't get to call me that. Get out of here." They were so persistent that my father ended up sprinkling salt on them, and my mother called the cops for trespassing. They have not been seen since. Last I heard, they were jobless, homeless, and asking their friends for money. But by the time they came back, word of them had spread around, and no one was willing to lend them anything. Anyway, it's unlikely that they could even survive in their hometown. They'd have to start scratch from somewhere else. But they brought that on themselves. They sowed their seeds, and they'll have to suffer for it. Me and my parents, of course, will never see them again. And they will live the rest of their lives full of regret.
"Can you leave? My sister's coming home to give birth." My husband Travis wanted to kick me out of our home because his sister, Angelina, was coming back to her family home to give birth at a nearby hospital. "That's absurd," I argued, not buying into his unreasonable request, but he wouldn't listen and eventually threatened me with divorce. Feeling utterly disheartened by his attitude of cutting me off entirely, I agreed to the divorce and left the house. But even after our separation, Travis kept sabotaging my life. Little did he know, karma was about to catch up with him. Hi, I'm Sherry, 34 years old. I was working as a nurse at a hospital, completely absorbed in my daily routine. I met Travis, who works in pharmaceutical sales. When he came by my workplace, our relationship blossomed from there, and a year later we tied the knot. But just as we got married, his parents, who were running a factory from their home, decided to shut it down. His parents were elderly, and for the past few years, it had just been his mom, Melissa, and him trying to keep the business afloat. But due to the economic downturn, they decided to close shop. Travis, however, felt a sense of duty and decided to take over. I tried to dissuade him, saying a job in pharma sales was more stable than running a failing factory. But Travis is stubborn. Once he makes up his mind, there's no changing it. So we ended up moving in with his parents almost immediately after getting married. At that point, Travis felt motivated to turn things around, and so he decided to renovate the old family home and factory. The construction started in no time. "Wow, it's really coming along. I'm so glad we decided to add this terrace. We can have barbecues in the summer." "I can't wait." Initially, I was skeptical, but his enthusiasm was infectious. Once the New Year's celebrations were over, our new home was ready, and our life with his parents began. Here's to a good life together from today. "Thank you. I'm really happy we could make this work. I know Travis can be a handful." I was initially worried about how his parents would take to me, but they warmly welcomed me. They seemed happy to have a daughter-in-law who was willing to support their son as he struggled to keep the family business going. That night, while arranging pictures of our travels in our new bedroom, Travis walked in. "Wow, Sherry, this space looks great, just like you said." "I know, right? I'm glad we finally have a place to put up our photos." "Thank you for sticking by me through all this." "You're making me blush, thanking me like that." "Don't worry, I'll make the factory successful and give you an easy life." "Don't push yourself too hard, but I'm excited." I felt genuinely grateful for respecting my husband's ambition to build a brighter future. However, 2 months later, Melissa received a message from Angelina. It read, I want to go back home and give birth at a family hospital near our home. I'll be back the week after next. Upon hearing this, Travis was overjoyed, raising both arms. We have to vacate our bedroom for her. We don't have any spare rooms. What? I don't like that idea. Why not? It's for my pregnant sister. I can sleep in the study, so it's no problem. What about me? Well, you can sleep in the kitchen or the hallway, I guess. That's ridiculous. Let's clear out the corner room on the second floor for Angelina. That room is cramped and full of clutter. How about you sleep there instead? I've made up my mind, right, Mom? If Travis says so, let's do it that way. I object. I'm fine with Angelina coming, but I don't want to give up our bedroom. I was upset that my husband would dismiss my feelings to accommodate Angelina and that Melissa readily agreed with him. Stop being selfish. This is my house. Please, bear with it for a little while. I don't accept this. It's my house, too. As I continued to object, Travis's face tightened, clearly getting irritated. Then he spoke words of surprise. What? You're my wife. You should understand. It's odd for you to claim this as your home when you're just my son's wife. What? A wife isn't family, you know. If you hate it so much, just leave. Why? Angelina left home when she got married, too. She's my sister. We share blood. Plus, her unborn child could be the heir to this house. Right now, I want to prioritize a potential heir. If you hate it that much, go back to your family home. I was taken aback, unable to come up with a quick retort. I felt disgusted that Travis was already considering the heir issue upon hearing Angelina's baby was a boy. And there was another concern on my mind. What about our child? You said you couldn't think about having kids until the business was stable, so any child will do? Enough! Enough! I'm fed up! If you can't obey me, let's get a divorce. Fine by me. Bring it on. Until now, I've always respected my husband's wishes, but this time I can't let it go. In a fit of anger, I agreed to the divorce. No regrets. I'm convinced I can't go on with this man. My husband, unable to contain his anger, stormed off somewhere. I seized the opportunity to pack my bags and leave. As I was about to go, my husband reappeared with the divorce papers in hand. Here's what you wanted. Now sign it, quick. That was fast. You're a lifesaver. As I grabbed the divorce papers and started writing without hesitation, my husband muttered something unpleasant in my ear. You're stupid for choosing divorce over this. I thought you were smarter. Don't come crying back to me. The stupid one might be you. What did you say? Just go. Vanish. Spewing venomous words, my husband retreated into his study. I finished the divorce papers, left the house, and submitted them immediately. I never thought I'd leave my husband like this, but I know I made the right choice. I resolved to move on. I went straight to a real estate agent and quickly signed a lease for a condo near work. I had a few days before moving in, so I stayed with a coworker. When I explained the situation, she offered her support, promising to be there if I needed her. A week later, I completed the move to my new condo and began my new life. But peace didn't come easy. About a month into living alone, I noticed I was being followed by a man named Travis. I ignored his unsettling presence until a coworker came up to me with alarming news. Your ex-husband was here earlier, spreading rumors that you cheated on him, and that's why he was dumped. What? Don't worry, no one's taking him seriously. We know you didn't do anything like that. I'm Team Sherry all the way. Thank you. He probably couldn't forgive me for finally standing up to him. He must be trying to make me regret my decision by harassing me. But I thought if I just endure this a little longer, he'll quit. I apologized to my colleagues for the disturbance and went about my days, pretending not to be rattled. A month later, just as I'd hoped, Travis stopped stalking me, and I thought I was finally in the clear. But I would soon find out how naive I had been. One day, after coming home from work, I checked my mailbox, only to find rotten fruit inside. I had a gut feeling that Travis, who had followed me and discovered where I live, was behind this. Day after day, I'd find dead insects or filthy objects in the mailbox. This was harassment, beyond tolerable levels. Just when I was considering reporting it to the police, it suddenly stopped. But the moment I let my guard down, something new appeared in my mailbox. This cycle continued. 3 months after I had moved out, Travis finally called me. "Hey, it's me. Can we talk?" "Sure." I agreed to meet up at a cafe near my home. I wanted to confront him face to face. It had been a while since we saw each other, and Travis was noticeably uncomfortable. "Have you been?" "How? I'm not doing great, thanks to you. You realize what you've been doing is criminal, right?" "Yeah, I get it. I'm sorry. So come back, will you?" "What are you talking about?" "I regretted kicking you out on impulse. Can we start over?" There was no way I would agree to this. He'd been harassing me all this time, and now he was trying to lure me back? But deep down, I knew this was coming. "You're calling because you're in a financial crunch, aren't you? It's pretty obvious." "That's not it. I didn't want to divorce you. I realized I love you." "Really?" "There's no one as kind as you." Suddenly, Travis grabbed my hand and pressed it to his cheek. I felt my skin crawl and quickly pulled my hand away, then got to the point. "Pretty convenient for you, huh? You're behind on the house payments, aren't you?" "It's not like that. I'm saying we should live together because I need you." "Throughout our marriage, I supported you in every way, yet you did everything you could to sabotage my new life. Why should I forgive you so easily?" "I need you to pay the mortgage to afford living. Please come back." Travis pleaded, his hands clasped in desperation. But I had no intention of forgiving him for the harassment I had endured. Actually, the house we rebuilt was in Travis's name, but I was the one covering the mortgage payments. And to make matters worse, the family business wasn't stable because we had to close the factory temporarily for renovations. So basically, I was the financial pillar for Travis's family. Kicking me out, he should have known money would get tight. "Now you're going to realize how much you've messed up. The only thing waiting for you is a world of pain." Then he showed his true colors. "I'm apologizing here. What's your problem? Fine. I don't care about you anymore. You better remember this. I'll make sure you won't be able to work." I decided then and there, it's time for some serious payback. Fast forward a week later, I visited a lawyer to discuss alimony and the ongoing harassment I had been getting from Travis. Thankfully, I had video evidence of Travis caught in the act from our condo's security camera. I also got advice from the lawyer that I could claim emotional damages, so I had them send Travis the full legal documentation. Travis, now panicking, reached out to me, and we agreed to meet at the law office. "I'll be filing for alimony and damages." "You've got to reconsider this." "Sorry, but I've already submitted all the evidence of your harassment to my lawyer."
"Come on, we were married, right? Can't we just sort this out?"
"If you refuse, we'll go to court. I won't budge." My words shattered his arrogance, replacing it with a look of utter fear.
"I was wrong. I won't do it again. Please drop the alimony and damages. I beg you."
"Nope. See you in court. Or should I take this evidence to the police?"
"What?"
"Thought you could get away with stalking and dumping trash? You should be thankful I'm keeping this civil."
"Fine. Let's talk."
Realizing I meant business, Travis broke down and finally agreed to his settlement. In the end, he had to pay $10,000 in alimony and $30,000 in damages. He looked like a ghost. The reason I didn't go to the police was simple. His misery was just beginning. His family defaulted on the mortgage payments, ignored the warnings, and their new home was eventually auctioned off. They both lost their home and their business in one go. Who'd have thought? Travis and his parents had a massive fight. If only they had listened to me and shut down the factory, or even stood by me over the whole Angelina issue, none of this would have happened. Now Travis's family is scattered. His parents rented a tiny rundown house in the countryside with their meager savings and live in poverty. Travis tried to make a fresh start by finding a live-in job, but Angelina stopped him. I have nowhere else to go, so take me with you. Turns out Angelina was divorced too, because she got swindled in a shady business deal and racked up debt. Learning about the truth, Travis had a big fight with Angelina. He later texted me saying, "So help me out here." But of course, I ignored him. It seems that despite their fights, Travis couldn't abandon his sister, who had just had a newborn, and he ended up paying off Angelina's debt himself. Friends who've seen Travis told me he's now working all hours, looking like a shadow of his former self. I felt no sympathy for him. As for me, I've remarried a man from my workplace and finally found a peaceful life. He truly cherishes me, and because he's a well-planned individual, I feel secure in our life together.